When we last did an overview of Sui over a year ago, it had just launched its mainnet. Sui has just launched its mainnet a few weeks ago on May 3rd, and the ecosystem was still in its early days, so it's safe to say that a lot has changed since. Sui has now crossed 2 billion in total value locked, rolled out major technical upgrades, and introduced its own dedicated gaming hardware, and even caught the attention of institutional investors. So let's break down everything that's happened with Sui in the past year, starting with its biggest and boldest move yet, its new gaming hardware. In April 2024, Sui announced Sui Play OX1, a handheld gaming device designed to support both traditional PC games and blockchain-powered titles. Sui's team has made it clear that they see gaming as their Trojan horse for mass adoption, a way to introduce millions of users to blockchain without them even realizing it. They argue that today's gaming infrastructure wasn't built to handle the complexity of millions of players trading digital assets worth thousands of dollars, and so they are trying to fill that gap. Pre-orders for the Sui Play OX1 opened in September 2024, priced at $599, and are expected to start shipping this year. When it comes to DeFi, Sui had one of the fastest growing ecosystems in 2024. TVL skyrocketed past 2 billion, almost touching 3 billion. That's about a 15 times growth in just a year. To put that into perspective, when we first covered Sui about a year and a half ago, it only had around 20 million in TVL. Now, stablecoins played a major role in this explosive growth, particularly with the launch of native USDC and other stablecoins on the network. At the time of shooting, there's almost 500 million worth of stablecoins circulating on Sui. Sui made another notable move by integrating with Phantom, one of the most popular multi-chain wallets. This means easier onboarding and a familiar interface for users already using Phantom for Solana or even Ethereum. And of course, this potentially adds an interesting layer of competition with Solana, since Phantom has long been the go-to wallet for Solana users. Now, let's switch gears and talk about some of Sui's latest and upcoming technical upgrades. One of the biggest came in July last year with the launch of Mysticeti, a major upgrade that improved how transactions are confirmed on the network. Before this, Sui used a system called Narwhal and Bullshark. Now, it worked, but it had a high consensus latency, which simply put is the time that it takes for all validators in a blockchain network to agree on the state of transactions and confirm them as finalized. The main delay came from network communication rounds. Validators had to exchange messages multiple times before agreeing on transaction ordering. These rounds increased wait times, especially under heavy network load. Validators also needed higher CPU usage to process these messages efficiently. Mysticeti reduces the number of rounds required for agreement, cutting down unnecessary back and forth messaging. As a result, transactions now finalize in less than a second, around 390 milliseconds to be exact.
Mysticeti can achieve a latency of less than a second to a second.
And with fewer validation steps, validators require less processing power, making the network more efficient. Mysticeti V1 is currently live, but earlier this year, Sui's co-founder revealed that V2 is already in development. It's expected to launch later this year, aiming to push the network's performance even further. There are also some other major technical upgrades slated for 2025. One of the most ambitious is Walrus, Sui's decentralized storage solution that goes beyond traditional file storage. Unlike typical decentralized storage systems, Walrus is built directly into the Sui blockchain, allowing developers to manage large-scale data seamlessly within smart contracts. Now, this is a major shift because in many blockchains, smart contracts and data storage are separate. Contracts could process transactions, but large files like website code or AI models models had to be stored off-chain on services like AWS or IPFS. Walrus changes that.
We offer builders the possibility to store anything they want on chain,
keeping everything fully decentralized and programmable. This also enables new features like Seal, an encryption and access control framework being built on top of Walrus. With Seal, developers can control who has access to stored data and for how long. For example, a document could be shared with a specific user for a week, after which access is automatically revoked, or a contract signature could be required before unlocking certain data. Another major upcoming upgrade is Remora, designed to help Sui scale as demand grows. Instead of maxing out the capacity of a single machine, Remora distributes the workload across multiple machines, making the network far more scalable. Sui claims that early tests have already hit hundreds of thousands of transactions per second and are refining it even further this year. And then there's programmable P2P tunnels designed to further reduce latency. Instead of running everything directly on-chain, these tunnels allow certain transactions like instant payments or multiplayer game actions to happen off-chain with no delay, only finalizing on-chain when needed. This makes for a much smoother user experience, especially for real-time applications. Now, all these developments in its ecosystem have attracted institutional interest. It began with Grayscale, one of the largest crypto asset managers, launching the Grayscale Sui Trust in August. Then in November 2024, Van Eck launched a regulated financial product backed by Sui, enabling traditional investors to gain exposure to the Sui ecosystem. However, Sui has had its share of concerns this past year as well. One of the biggest incidents was a 2-hour-long network outage in November 2024. A bug caused validators to crash, bringing transactions to a halt across the network. Beyond technical issues, Sui also faced allegations of insider trading. Reports suggested that insiders may have sold up to 400 million worth of Sui tokens during a major price surge. Now, Sui denied the claims, stating that no tokens were sold by insiders, including employees of the Sui Foundation, Miston Labs, or investors. Instead, they clarified that the wallets involved likely belonged to an infrastructure partner whose tokens were subject to a lockup agreement overseen by qualified custodians. Still, speculation that insiders might be cashing out might raise doubts about the project's long-term future. Well, that's a wrap. Those were some of the biggest developments in Sui's ecosystem over the past few months. With all these upgrades and growth in DeFi and a new focus in gaming, do you think Sui is living up to the hype as the Solana killer, or is that title still out of reach?